Commencing the session, I would like to extend my warm regards to Principal Ma'am, Professor Dr. Harpreet Kaur, IQAC Coordinator, Dr. Lokesh Kumar Gupta Sir, Teacher in Charge, Dr. Kiranjeet Sethi Ma'am, and our Teacher Coordinator, Mrs. Vijaya Goyal Ma'am, for their constant guidance and support. I would like to welcome the strongest pillar of our institution, the lady who needs no introduction and is known amongst all of us for her wisdom and knowledge, our respected Principal Ma'am, to address the attendees. Welcome, ma'am.
मैडम अनम्यूट कर लीजिए मैडम अनम्यूट कर लीजिए
हाँ ठीक है आप ठीक है
हाँ जी
So on this very special day when we are celebrating the whole development and the whole basis of modernity, then then the computer science department and IQAC has come forward with this topic and this webinar, and I welcome the speaker for today also, who is going to enlighten us on very pertinent topic, because research today is becoming very important. For anything, research is market. We are living in the concept of market, and for this, on the basis of research, a country can progress. And this is what I think China, way back 20 years back, they researched the markets, the various markets, and they came up with products suiting that particular market. For example, for European market, they came up with some kind of quality brands, quality products. For other countries, maybe a little bit of different kind of products they came up. And now we see that how China has occupied the entire concept. So what I mean to say is that they have done quite a lot of research. And computers have made our research very easy. So simple that earlier, I think carrying dictionary, having atlas, and so many things were basic requirement, but everything is solved by this. Now a phone is there, there's also dictionary, it is also atlas, knowledge, but I have to filter that knowledge. After filtering that knowledge, various tools have come up, and these tools are very important. So knowledge of these tools is very important, and you know that how to apply that
I think she's traveling.
With your research, your ideal of research, and what is being made so simple by computer, and we can filter information which is not so, or come out with suggestions which are applicable. The interaction with the industry, that how research is actually conducted, how it should be conducted, and so that is why we have come up with this kind of a mentoring program and the skill-based program. So get the best out of it. And here again, I will thank Dr. Kiranjeet Sethi, her team, Dr. Lokesh Gupta, Sangeeta, and the speaker for today, and also the students who are together on this platform, knowledge sharing platform. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for your words, for inspiring and motivating us to delve into this area of research and for striving us for success daily. Moving forward, it's an honor for me to call our teacher in charge, Dr. Kiranjeet Sethi ma'am, to enlighten us more about the subject with her thoughts. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Dia. So it gives me a great pleasure, the Department of Computer Science, in collaboration with IQAC of Mata Sundari College, is celebrating National Science Day. We are celebrating it today, even though it falls on 28th. And the topic of the day focuses on a wonderful aspect of science, which deals with exploring more of the so far untapped resources of science. Research, they say, is the systematic investigation into the study of materials and sources. So, what we do is, firstly, there's a hypothesis, which is an assumption to start with. Then we deduce certain logical or empirical conclusions. And in the three categories of science which are there, we have uh, three categories of research which are there. We have exploratory research, we have descriptive research, and we also have causal research. All through all of them, we have better insights, sounder insights, and greater information, which can lead to forming conclusions, and that leads to a new understanding that was probably previously not known. And as you all know, National Science Day is celebrated every year to commemorate the discovery of the Raman effect. On this day, Sir C.V. Raman had announced the discovery of the Raman effect, for which he was awarded the Nobel Prize. And all because of the hypothesis, data analyzing, interpretation of critical information, and then reaching at a logical conclusion through research. That is how research is so important in the day-to-day life or in a proper particular discipline, you know. And Dr. Rajan Gupta, whom we have as our eminent speaker today, is going to enlighten us on how research can, mold our lives. And may we have more of C.V. Ramans and more of Homi Bhabas from amongst all of you. With these words, I welcome Dr. Rajan Gupta, and I'm sure his lecture is definitely going to motivate and inspire our students to pursue research and to shape their careers. Thank you, and I welcome Rajan Gupta to this webinar.
Thank you, ma'am.
very much, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am, for giving us a brief introduction about research and highlighting the importance, how research is important. So, I would now like to take the pleasure to hand over the virtual mic and call between us Dr. Lokesh Sir, IQAC coordinator, to grace the session with his words of wisdom. Welcome, sir.
थैंक यू बच्चे. मैडम किरणजीत सेठी, मैडम प्रिंसिपल, डॉक्टर राजन गुप्ता, राष्ट्रीय विज्ञान दिवस की आप सबको शुभकामनाएं. हम रिसर्च मेंटरिंग कार्यक्रम कॉलेज में शुरू कर चुके हैं और एक आज अच्छा कार्यक्रम है, स्किल बेस्ड काउंसलिंग सेशन हमने रिसर्च पर रखा. इसको स्किल की तरह से देख रहे हैं. इसकी सबसे अच्छी खूबसूरती यही है कि हम एक रिसर्च को एज ए स्किल देखने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं आज के इस प्रोग्राम में. और जिस तरह का टाइटल आपने दिया, गेटवे, जो शब्द आपने यूज किया है वो बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग शब्द है. दूसरी बात यहाँ पर समझने वाली ये है कि हम रिसर्च आइडिया से चल रहे हैं. एक जो प्रॉब्लम खड़ी होती है वो प्रॉब्लम खड़ी होती है आइडियोलॉजी. बहुत सारे लोग रिसर्च को आइडियोलॉजी बेस्ड बनाने की कोशिश करते हैं और अक्सर होता भी है, लेकिन हम रिसर्च आइडिया पर चलें. अभी हमारा इनिशिएशन है. हम किसी पर्टिकुलर आइडियोलॉजी से ज्यादा प्रभावित होकर अगर रिसर्च की ओर बढ़ेंगे तो तकलीफ होगी. एक बड़े स्पीकर राइटर है E.H. कार, उनकी किताब है व्हाट इज हिस्ट्री. उसमें वो एक जगह पर लिखते हैं कि तथ्य, रिसर्च के लिए जरूरी चीजें तथ्य. वो कहते हैं कि मछली, जैसे समुद्र तट पर बहुत सारी मछलियां पड़ी होती हैं, समुद्र के अंदर बहुत सारी मछलियां होती हैं, हम अपनी पसंद की मछलियां चुनकर ले आते हैं. रिसर्च में लगभग वही काम हम सब करते हैं. अपनी पसंद के तथ्य हम उठा लेते हैं और बाकी सब तथ्यों को वहां पर छोड़ देते हैं. तो ये चीज जो हम अपनी पसंद की उठाकर ले आते हैं और बाकी चीजों को छोड़ देते हैं, ये कई बार रिसर्च के लिए और बैलेंस रिसर्च के लिए घातक बन जाती है. आइडियोलॉजी विशेष के रिसर्च के लिए तो ठीक है, लेकिन जहां बैलेंस रिसर्च हमें करना है, जहां हमें एक समग्रता से चीजों को रखना है, वो चीज वहां नहीं रह पाती. तो एक बार पुनः, मैं ज्यादा समय नहीं लूंगा, राजन जी का समय है. राजन गुप्ता जी का बहुत बहुत आभार कि आपने हमारे कार्यक्रम को संबोधित करने का समय हमें दिया. आपका अभिनंदन. मैडम किरणजीत सेठी का विजया का और कंप्यूटर साइंस डिपार्टमेंट के बाकी सभी सदस्यों का बहुत बहुत आभार। मैडम प्रिंसिपल का आभार कि आपने कार्यक्रम की स्वीकृति प्रदान की। आप सबका और जितने पार्टिसिपेंट्स जुड़े हुए हैं सब बहुत लगन के साथ में जुड़े हुए हैं इस कार्यक्रम में, और सभी इस कार्यक्रम से आज लाभान्वित होंगे। और रिसर्च को बहुत जरूरी है एज ए स्किल यूज करना। और वैसे भी आने वाला जो फॉर्मेट है एजुकेशन का, नेशनल एजुकेशन पॉलिसी का, उसका 4th ईयर कंप्लीटली रिसर्च पर है। अभी किसी से बात होती है कि 4th ईयर में जाएंगे कितने बच्चे, वो ठीक है कुछ जाएंगे, हम ये नहीं कहते कि समाज का 100% रिसर्च की ओर बढ़े, बाकी काम भी लोगों को करने हैं, लेकिन समाज का करीब 2, 3, 4, 5% जन तो कम से कम रिसर्च की ओर बढ़े, ताकि हम देश में कुछ नवा, कुछ नया, कुछ नवोन्मेष सी भावना लेकर आए। बहुत बहुत आभार, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद और बहुत अभिनंदन राजन जी का। और अब राजन जी को सुनने का अवसर है। बहुत धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, sir.
धन्यवाद सर, धन्यवाद।
So now, without any further ado, I take this opportunity to extend a warm welcome and convey my heartfelt gratitude to our guest of honor and resource person, Dr. Rajan Gupta, for accepting the invitation and presiding over this session. Dr. Rajan Gupta is a research and analytics professional and has authored 4 books in the area of public information systems and data science. He is currently employed as postdoctoral research fellow in data science and modeling at the Center of Information Technologies and Applied Mathematics, University of Nova Gorica, Slovenia, Europe. He has done his PhD in Information System and Security from the Department of Computer Science, University of Delhi. He completed his master's in Computer Application from the University of Delhi, postgraduate program in Management from IMT Ghaziabad, and executive program in Business Intelligence and Analytics from IIM Ranchi. He has industrial working experience with firms like Samsung and TCF Consultancy in the Research and Analytics Department, and teaching experience as Assistant Professor in Deen Dayal Upadhyay College, University of Delhi. Not only this, he has recently contributed to E-Governance Development Index report by the United Nations 2020 and also delivered a talk as a panelist on data science application for e-governance on an international forum sponsored by International Data Engineering and Science Association USA, and conducted a workshop on inclusion of marginalized communities through e-governance at ICEGOV 2020 hosted by United Nations University. We are glad to have you with us, sir. And now I would like to hand over the virtual mic to Rajan, sir. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Dia. I'll just start with my screen sharing. Is it visible screen?
Yes.
Okay. Good evening, everyone in India. However, it is a bright sunny morning out here in Europe right now, and we are lucky to enjoy sun today. So today we all have gathered here for a skill-based learning session on the occasion of National Science Day, organized by the Department of Computer Science in collaboration with IQAC of Mata Sundari College for Women, University of Delhi. The talk that we have planned for today is research, which can act as a gateway to career. That's a very apt topic that we have chosen for such an auspicious day of celebrations, and where we celebrate science as something that has changed our lives. So I'll try to do justice, and I have created this talk in such a manner that it can benefit to the students to the maximum extent, and I'll try to keep it interactive also. We'll try to take up a lot of questions at the end, so I've kept this as short as possible so that we can have more questions from the students, because it is more a curiosity by the students that what exactly do we do in research, rather than me explaining a very superficial things. So I'll try to be as grounded as possible in this talk. Okay, so before we start, some good acknowledgements from my side. I would like to thank Professor Dr. Harpreet Kaur, Dr. Lokesh Kumar Gupta, Dr. Kiranjit Sethi ma'am, Mrs. Vijaya Goyal, and the entire organizing team of Mata Sundari College for Women for having organized this session. It is really wonderful that the whole college have taken this initiative to celebrate science and to initiate research as a skill, as pointed out by Dr. Lokesh, that yes, it is something we are looking as a skill rather than a superficial concept. So I really appreciate that, and I thank all the organizing team members for having me here and having this wonderful session. I also acknowledge Professor Dr. Tanya Urbanchich, who is the Dean of School of Engineering Management over here in University of Nova Gorica, for granting me the permission to conduct this session. I also acknowledge Professor Irina Christia, who is the acting head of the lab where I'm working right now. I'm also thankful for her for granting me the permission to conduct this session. And I'm always thankful to my supervisors from my Delhi University time period during my PhD days, Dr. Sunil Kumar Mattu and Dr. Saibal Kumar Pal, who have always been there for guiding me in my research work. So whatever I have learned for conducting my research activities, it has been due to these two gentlemen who have been a pillar in my research activities. So I really thank them from the bottom of my heart. So I have drafted down a very quick agenda that what exactly are we going to look into it, that that gives us an opportunity to learn more about the research activities. First, we'll talk a little bit about National Science Day, although Kiranjit ma'am have already explained it beautifully, but still we'll talk a few things. We'll see what are the emerging science areas for us. So the way I have organized this talk is that I have kept computer science students in mind, that they are the majority of the target audience that we have, but still for the others it's the same. So technology is emerging in general, whether you are from marketing domain, whether you are from commerce domain, business, finance, any domain that you talk about, technology is emerging as such. So we have to be in line with what is progressing in the science and what is progressing from the technological point of view. So we'll have some area discussions on that. Then I'll talk about what is scientific research, how to become a scientist, how can you have research as a career. You can incorporate this as a skill in yourself. You can make a career out of the research work. It's not just limited to some writing one or two papers, but you can have a complete career out of uh, this skill. And then we'll talk about, is it really for you, that whether the students who are attending today's session, can they really think of this as a career? Is it really suited to their needs, to their skill sets, to their persona? So we'll discuss about these things, because most of the uh, places for doubt for the student is that whether this skill set is suitable for me or not, whether I am eligible to do this or not, whether I can do this or not. So I want to spend more time on that aspect, because that is where a lot of students really struggle. And then we'll conclude the session. So as discussed earlier, science is something which is intellectual and practical activity, which encompassing the systematic study of the structure and behavior of the physical and natural world through observations and experiments. So whenever we talk about science, we say it's a systematic thing. It's not something which is a kind of a feeling. It is not something which is a kind of an art, although few people say that art is a science. But then it is different from other fields, other phenomena. Whatever is happening, whatever facts we see, whatever experiments we do, we try to do them systematically and relate to do the science. And there was one gentleman who did this beautifully in 1928. That was by Sir C.V. Raman, which who created the Raman effect, which was related to the light scattering. So we were not earlier aware of that. How does the light scatters and how the light behaves, across various mediums, and what are the phenomena behind these scattering mechanisms. So on 28th February, it was decided that since this was something drastically that happened in the history of Indian science, that we had somebody who created such a phenomena which impacted the world at a global level. So we thought of celebrating this day as in 28th February, the National Science Day in India. And Sir C.V. Raman, you can just browse through his profile, his research activity. He was a phenomenal scientist. He was a phenomenal physicist, rather. And apart from getting a Nobel Prize, he was also honored with Bharat Ratna. So he had all the things that we can aspire as a general citizen. He had all the highest honors being given to him just purely basis on the research skills that he had. So that ways we can say that if you have good research skills, you can achieve the highest level of honor. You can achieve the highest status in the world. So it's that kind of a field that can give you almost everything with respect to social life, with respect to financial life, with respect to the kind of honor that you get. So it's a very prestigious field that you can also emulate. So these are the people that should be your role model nowadays. Rather than going towards or rather than getting too much influenced by the social media influencers. Moving on to the progress in science that has happened. So science has progressed in the last few years drastically. It was always evolving, it was always moving. However, with the help of technology, it is now evolving even at a faster rate. Now, for example, we couldn't think life on Moon. We couldn't think water on Mars. We were not able to edit the genomic activities or genomes of a human beings. We were, we were not aware of the 3D printing mechanisms. And in fact, as recent as developing a COVID vaccine, earlier the vaccine development process was a very lengthy activity. It was not possible to develop a vaccine within, for less than maybe 3 or 4 years. But the technological advancements, the kind of setups that we have nowadays that have really helped us in moving faster. And there we see that there are a lot of emerging science areas that are there for us. And it is not specific to people from some specific domain, but it is in general. So when we talk about emerging sciences for us, then we say that artificial intelligence is something that is emerging nowadays. We say machine learning is something that is coming up, where machines are working on behalf of humans, where machines are adding to the decision making, to the human decision making. We are not saying that machines are replacing humans, but they are adding to the powers of humans. We have deep learning where we are using a lot of human brain activities being mapped artificially onto the machines. We are having a lot of data getting generated in the past 1 or 2 decades, from which we are mining various kinds of patterns to identify what kind of trends are emerging in today's world. We have technologies like blockchain, Internet of Things, cloud computing, mobile computing. So these are all activity areas. These are all emerging areas which are associated with science. And they are not just for computer science, but they are all interdisciplinary in nature. That means you can apply them in whatever field you want. It is just the scientific thing that has emerged. However, their application area remains same for various domains. So you can apply artificial intelligence in financial world, you can apply artificial intelligence in retail world, you can apply artificial intelligence in marketing world, and so on. So it's not something which is specific to the computer science people, to the computer science background, but you need to understand that science exists independently as a field. However, its application is being done to the other fields. So the application of scientific activities, scientific areas is there in almost every field and domain that you can think of. So there we have very good emerging areas through which we can say science is evolving very fast, and there are very good things that are possible nowadays which were not possible earlier. And the latest example is the COVID vaccine, that we were able to successfully develop a COVID vaccine in less than an year's time. That is pure hard work of the scientists and researchers who have been there working continuously for hours for creating that kind of a scientific, product. So that ways we can always have uh, a study about good emerging science areas for us. Now, we need to understand that what exactly is scientific research. Kiranjit ma'am recently, just at the beginning of the session, she shared a few thoughts about conducting research work, and in fact, Principal ma'am also talked about China's vision of conducting research work into various domains for various markets and for various products. So I'll just tell you that research can be broadly classified into three, four areas. So there can be market research, there can be business research, there can be scientific research, and there can be academic research. Now, business research and market research are purely for organizations to plan their business expansions, to study about the new market areas where they want to launch a particular product. They want to see what kind of target audience they have in a particular geography. They want to compete with the other brands or the products existing in the market. So they opt for a business research or a market research activity in their organizations. From academic research point of view, it's purely for the basis of educational development that you conduct the research work for the uh, you know rising careers, for promotions, for jobs. You basically conduct research activities and you get involved into a lot of theoretical aspects of the research work, where you build theories, where you try to come up with certain postulates and hypotheses, and you try to prove and disprove them. On the contrary side, we have a scientific research. Now, when we say science as a research activity, science automatically involves a lot of research work. Whatever scientific, engagements we are having, whatever scientific developments we are having with the help of research activities only. We cannot, segregate these two things, science and research. So whatever research we do, there is a scientific method behind it. And what is it? So first, UNESCO defines that a simple research is a systematic and creative actions taken to increase knowledge about humans, culture, society, and apply it to the newer area of interest. Of course, we do research work in order to understand the existing phenomena, and we also do research works in order to add value to the existing phenomena. That, see, this is something new that we have discovered. This is something different that we have found. This is something drastically improved version of what is already existing. So there we continuously do the research work and come up with our findings. And scientific research in itself is the research performed by applying systematic and constructed scientific methods to obtain, analyze, and interpret data. That is where the scientific research comes into picture. For example, for instance, let's try to study this scientific method, which is there on the screens in the pictorial form. So we observe something. We have some observations of something happening around us. We question that observation, that why it is happening. What could be the phenomena behind this particular observation? Then we try to study about it, that whether this phenomena is due to some particular reason, or is it something which has been reported earlier or not. And then we try to come up with our own version, that this phenomena could be due to this particular reason. That's what we create an hypothesis. And then we conduct various experiments to either prove that hypothesis or disprove that hypothesis. So for experimentations, we collect data, we analyze that data, and we come to a conclusion that, see, I have seen 90 instances out of 100 that where this particular phenomena is linked to this particular reason. So therefore, I share the results, these results with my community, with the researchers, with the academicians, with the practitioners, with the people around that research work, and we develop interventions that, see, this is where we can come up with a theory, we can come up with the reasoning, and this is where I have conducted research work which can add to the knowledge. And then we start over all over again by asking new questions. To understand this process, let us think of the famous example of apple falling on the Newton's head. So he observed that an apple has fallen on his head, or it is falling on the ground. He questioned that particular phenomena, the observation that he saw, that why it has happened, how it has happened. And then he searched, or he may have searched, the existing research papers, existing books, reports, or whatever reading material that has been given to him, or that was available to him at that time, to the Newton. And then he probably came up with a hypothesis that every object falls towards the earth. If you just throw it in the air, it will come back to the earth. That was his hypothesis. He conducted a lot of experiments. He collected data points. He must have analyzed all those data points. He must have tried to use the theories behind it, maybe some physics, some maths, some anything related to the astronomical things. So probably he concluded all those things. He came up with his own collected data sets, and then shared the results with everyone. And everyone was surprised that this is something which has to do with the gravitational force of the earth. And from there, there were few things that were you know taken well by the whole world. Everyone was surprised. Oh, this is something that has happened due to this particular reason. So we must see, we must create theories around it. We must come up with certain postulates or something like that around this particular phenomena. So that is how Newton started with an observation and came up with the theory, which was which is still regarded as one of the best discoveries in all time with respect to science. So this is how you follow a scientific method. This is how you, so every stage, whether it's observation, whether it's questions, whether it's searching literature, whether it's hypothesis, whether it's experiments, whether it's collection of data, analyzing of data, coming to a conclusion, sharing of the results, uh, you know every stage involves certain scientific methods which are not questionable, which holds value, which holds relevance, and which are valid in as per the various scientists. So we are following a pure scientific method to come to a conclusion of a theory or an evidence, or a research work, that we say that, see, this is something that I have researched upon, this is something that I have come up with. So that's where the scientific research comes into picture. I'll also give you an example of COVID cases predictions. This was one of the case studies that I worked last year. So when the COVID cases were rising, the number of positive cases, we were given a task that, based on the data that is available right now, predict whether it will rise up to a certain level or not. So we observed the past trends of the other pandemics. We observed the past trends of the this particular pandemic across various regions, and we questioned those particular trends. We searched the literature, that what kind of epidemiological models that exist in this world, in the literature. We came up with our own hypothesis. We conducted few experiments. We created few models. We took some data sets, from different parts of the world, and we analyzed them with various modeling techniques, which comes from machine learning, or data mining, or time series forecasting. So we came up with all these methods and techniques, and we shared the result with the one of the government labs. So this was a complete scientific method that we followed, and this was something that even you could have done it at your own level. A lot of people did this. If you'll see a lot of posts on Google, a lot of technical posts on Google, a lot of technical posts on LinkedIn, you'll find a lot of students contributing to a lot of COVID related research work. So it is not something that is there just for the government officials or maybe private organizations to follow. You as students can also individually contribute to the scientific research work. It's not something which is beyond your scope or beyond your control. It's just that you should be aware of the scientific method. That's it. Nobody will stop you from conducting that research work in your systems, at your places, in your environment. So that is the beauty of research work, where if you have the skill of knowing this scientific method, you can very well contribute to the national cause or organizational cause, or maybe even at your university level. So that is where scientific research as a skill is really really important from my perspective. Now, to have that skill, to gain that skill, you all can become scientists. So I call, I have two approaches where I say that one is the authentic way of becoming a scientist, and other is the applicative way of becoming a scientist. Now, earlier when we used to hear the term scientist, we used to see a person having, very weird behavior, or a very weird kind of a person who is just there in the lab all the time, and he is not at all social, he is not at all party oriented, maybe he is not at all having a personal life. So this kind of an image was drawn in front of us whenever we used to think of scientists, because this is the way we have seen in movies, this is the way we have seen in maybe serials, or maybe web series, or maybe books, or maybe images, or any descriptions that were there. But that is not true at all in today's world. You have modern day scientists who are as cool as any of the other movie stars, Bollywood star, politicians, or anybody whom you think of a lot in the media, the persons who you see in media a lot. A normal scientist also looks like that. A normal scientist also behaves like that. A normal scientist is also a person who is as normal as anybody else. Now, for that, if you have to follow the authentic way, you have to follow a particular path, or to gain that skill. So obviously, you start with your graduation studies, you complete your post graduation in a particular area, and then you complete your PhD, that is doctoral research work that you must do. That is the bare minimum requirement. After that, you should always go for postdoctoral fellowships, which allows you to enhance your research areas, which helps you in enhancing your research skills. After that, you become a visiting scientist in various labs, various universities, and after that, you can become a permanent scientist in one of the labs, or one of the universities, or one of the government agencies. So that is a very important way. If you can follow this path, you can be a scientist in an authenticated way. However, these days, a lot of organizations, a lot of private companies are also coming up with the process of making you a scientist. You'll see a lot of job vacancies these days of a data scientist, computer scientist, and so on. So how do you become a data scientist over there? So of course, there are very good platforms from where you can learn a particular skill, but coding skills, or maybe a particular tool or technology skills, doesn't make you a scientist. You can have a designation as a scientist over there, but that doesn't make you a true scientist. For that, I still feel that you should complete your graduation, post graduation, and doctoral research work as well. Although it's optional, but preferable to enter and sustain in the industry. For example, Adobe Systems, Microsoft, Yahoo Labs, Google Labs, Facebook, they all have their research wings. I was employed in Samsung organization's research wing. They all had dedicated wings for scientists to come in, for researchers to come in and perform research activities. So it's always preferable that you complete your doctoral research work and then get into the industry. There are a lot of jobs available these days for PhDs who want to enter the industry. So it's no longer only associated with teaching, or getting just into a government research lab. No. So a lot of private organizations are these days hiring a lot of research scientists, a lot of data scientists, a lot of computer scientists. So from technology point of view, it's a really golden era for all of you, because you are getting both the opportunities, whether you want to get into an industry into a research lab, into a private research lab or a government research lab, or you want to get into a university for teaching activities. So it's all the options are open for all of you, which was not the case maybe 10, 20 years back, or 30 years back. That was not the case. So whosoever who did PhD was supposed to be there in the industry to teach, and the industry was education industry only that was available. So he was only available for teaching. The jobs were only available for teaching purposes. But nowadays the scenario has changed, and you will get a lot of time, a lot of options to explore. And what will be your role? It will just be keep on performing the experiments and help the lab or the government or the organization, whether it's private or public, to excel and grow with respect to various kinds of research projects. And once you follow these paths, you'll have a whole lot of domain side being open as well as technology side being open. So you can become archaeologists, astronomers, biologists, earth scientists, food scientists, military scientists, economists, communication scientists, criminologists, neuroscientists, agronomists, ecologists, geologists, computer scientists, data scientists, and whatnot. And all these scientists and researchers are being given preference. For example, our ex RBI governor, Dr. Raghuram Rajan, was a scientist and a researcher and an academician in USA. He was called on to take up RBI duties as an RBI governor by Indian government. So see the kind of respect being given to this field, that if you are proficient, if you are efficient in your field, that means you can be given highest administrative authorities as well. So it's not something that you have to clear civil services exams and then only you can contribute. No, this is also one of the ways through which you can contribute to your nations, and at important and key positions. So you can choose your path wisely, and you can become a scientist or a researcher, and an efficient and a proficient researcher in your field. You can pursue this as a career. There are a lot of research centers nowadays in India and abroad. There are plenty of research centers which have opened now. BARC, ISRO, ICAR, IITM, CSIR, ARIES, IACS, DRDOs. I mean, these are just few that I could gather. There are a number of institutions that have come up, which keeps on coming up with various openings, various job positions for entry level researchers, for a mid level researcher, for a high level researcher. You can always apply them either through government examinations or directly through interviews or directly based on your profiles. They have different eligibility criteria, they have different requirements, but you will get a lot of option now, because government backed institutions, government backed agencies are plenty in number, and even the private organizations are having their own research centers. Like IBM research lab is there in New Delhi itself. You have Microsoft research in Hyderabad. You have in Bangalore also. You have Facebook and Google labs. So all these places are opening up. So both private and public agencies and centers are available where you can be employed. So there are no less opportunities for you. And apart from this, a lot of funding agencies have come up to fund your research work. So it's something that you get paid for. It's not something that you do it for free. Even if you doesn't land up in any of these centers, private or public, you can still pursue your research work while getting associated with a university, and you will be paid either by the university or by the various funding agencies. For example, for UGC and CSIR, we have JRF and SRF fellow schemes, which I was a part of. You have Prime Minister's Research Fellowship, you have SBI Postdoctoral Research Fellowship, you have Tata Innovation Fellowship, Azim Premji Foundation Fellowship. So there again a very large number of fellowships that are available. I could just list down few of them over here. So it's not something that you will do for free, but you will be paid for all these research activities that you'll do. So as a scientist, there are a lot of good opportunities to earn, and the salaries, the payments, the fellowship amounts are no less than somebody who is starting his career as a software developer or a software engineer, or maybe a marketing person or a sales person. So it's comparable to all the industries and all the standards. And in fact, I would say that it is a bit higher than the traditional jobs. So you can have a good, fellowship being obtained for yourself, and you can, really do well for yourself financially. So that is the main concern that everybody thinks when they think about their careers. Research is a good paying career option, and this is just India that I'm talking about. If you want to, go out of India, you will get a very good opportunities. You'll have a lot of research centers out there. You can go for your MS, you can go for your PhDs, you can join as a postdoctoral fellows. And I have seen people out here in Europe, once they have completed their graduation and post graduation, maybe somewhere around 22, 21 years of age or 22 years of age, they joined PhD in a particular lab, and they are getting a very good pay, a good pay as, higher than most of the entry level workers in India. So that ways, if financially you really want to excel, you can try your try applying for the various universities across the world. So it's not just India which has got this environment, but this is across the world where you can apply and you can get a career. And secondly, it's not just while working in these kind of institutions, in these kind of universities, in these kind of places that you get paid, but you can have patents, you can have books, you can have events. From every place, every thing that you do, you can earn royalty as a scientist, you can earn royalty as a researcher. So that's an additional thing that you can always have. So that ways, as a career, this is a well paying, well honored, well respected, and well taken career around the world. So this is something that you all can pursue. Now, coming on to the last thing that I wanted to say, that is it really for you, for students who are thinking whether I can do it, whether I cannot do it. So let me give you 2 3 insights that it requires a lot of patience. Conducting a research activity, a research a project is not an easy task. But then uh, easy task was until we have learned anything, there's nothing called easy in life. Even when we were young, when we were toddlers, learning ABCD was the most difficult task for us. So that ways, everything is difficult and everything is easy. So in my opinion, nothing is a difficult task. You should have willingness to learn. It's just that if you can have a lot of patience, then you can be a good researcher. Second important activity that involves into the research field is, can you work independently? Some people like to work in groups, some people like to interact with a lot of colleagues and a lot of teammates for various kind of group work. They are more comfortable in group work. However, research is done more in an independent environment. Although you will be communicating with your colleagues, you will be working on a collaborative research project, you will be having a group of people around you where you will be, you'll be supporting them or you'll get support. But still, research is more of an independent activity. So if you want to be independent in your work, if you want to be independent in your processes and activities, then yes, this field is for you. And do you have keen interest in reading and writing? That's the foremost thing. I have seen a lot of students who have, you know who have got decreased interest, or there is a decline in the interest in reading the books, reading the papers, reading the articles, or reading in general as a habit. If you have a decline interest on that particular aspect, then it will be really difficult for you to survive in this field. So you should have a keen interest in reading as well as writing, because a good communication with respect to your research work will be well supported by your peer members, by your colleagues, by the community as a whole. So you should and you must have a keen interest. If you have that, then yes, it is for you. So I think that these are the 3 important characteristics that you can judge in yourself right now, that whether you want to really pursue research as a career or not. And if you think you have, then there are few things that you can start with. You can collaborate with a researcher who is already doing a research work. Maybe he's doing a PhD, maybe he's a professor, assistant professor, associate professor in a university and doing some research work. So you can assist him or her. You can read a few papers. Maybe they are freely available on internet. Scholar.google.com is a very famous and a very useful site for all of you to begin with. Scholar.google.com, where you can find various research papers, and you'll get an idea that how research papers are written, what do they look like, what all important components are there. So you can have an idea by reading a few papers, and you can try to write a few papers based on what is already existing in the papers. So maybe you can write summaries, maybe you can write articles, maybe you can start with that kind of a thing. So, you can start with these 2, 3 basic activities, and probably you can see for yourself whether this field is for you or not. It's not something that you have decided today that I want to be a researcher and that's it. No, it's a continuous process of evaluating yourself. Even I was not aware that I'll be a researcher one day, I'll be a scientist one day, I'll be, doing such kind of a research work. No, I never thought of that. But eventually I realized that this is something that I enjoy, this is something that I want to get into, and that is where I started with my research activities, and I carried on with my work, and I created a career for myself in this particular area. So you can also do that. So with this, I conclude my talk. Let me give you concluding remarks that you can explore data science as one of the areas in the field of STEM education. That means in case of in case you are in science, in case you really want to get in touch with technology upgradations, you can look data science as a potential area of expertise for you. You can develop expertise around this. This is a very good area for beginners. You can also look out for various research project calls by Department of Science and Technology and other agencies in India, and keep checking the positions that are announced by various research agencies. Like you can see various job openings and see what all eligibility requirements they have. Based on that, you can plan for that job posting from right now. Start planning today so that after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, you can land up there. So you have to understand what are the eligibility requirements for a particular position in a particular agency, and from there, you'll get cues that how to prepare for it, what all things I need in my CV, and you can prepare yourself starting from today onwards. You can be in touch with various researchers and professors around the world with respect to the research projects they are doing. You can do that with the help of LinkedIn. You can do that with the help of their emails. Every university, every lab has got a description of the researcher or the professor associated with that lab, and you'll find an email ID over there. You can write them. You can express your interest. Everybody is really active on emails around the world, so that's the preferred medium. And you can also keep checking their home pages for various announcements. Sometimes it happens that they are looking for students for summer projects, looking for students for a very short duration. So there you can apply. You can see that how it is like working on a research project, how it feels like working with a professor in a different university. So that ways you have to make efforts, and you have to keep searching all these things. Nobody will tell you all that. You can also look for various job descriptions of organizations like Facebook, Microsoft, Yahoo, IBM, Adobe, and look out for scientist positions and what exactly are they looking forward to. So even in private sector, if you want to go, you should assess what exactly their requirements are and prepare yourself accordingly. It's not something that one day you decided, I want to become a scientist, I want to become a researcher, you apply in that organization and you get to know, oh, I'm not eligible, oh, I have missed out on these things. No, that should not happen. You should see the various job descriptions right now. Go on to Naukri.com, jobmonster.com, LinkedIn Jobs. See what exactly do they require, and then prepare yourself according to it. It requires 2, 3 years of preparation. Then only you'll land up at a good place. And if you want to work in the area of data science and digital governance with me, you can always contact me at rgupta.cs.du@gmail.com. That's the preferred email ID where you can get in touch with me, or if you have any official collaborations that you want to do, you can contact me at my official email ID. That's rajan.gupta@ung.si. So if any of you is really interested, you can just drop an email to me on my Gmail ID. With this, I thank all of you for patiently listening. And now I'm open to the questions that all of you guys have, and I'll be happy to answer.
Dia, you are mute. I'm really sorry. Okay. So, sir, the first question says, do the
Mhm.
centers like Aries have entrance exams to study research, and what are the levels for the same?
Right. So many research agencies will have an entrance exam. You will be assessed on the technical side of your subject. For example, if you are applying for a computer science research position, or a lab which is oriented towards computer science, you will have entrance questions being asked from the computer science, as well as few basic research activities and scientific methods around research work, and basic aptitude. That always helps. Mathematical and verbal ability and logical reasoning, this will always be there in a scientific approach. So these are the few things that will be asked in the entrance exams.
Then Ria asks, is Canada a good country for masters in data analytics?
Of course, Canada is one of the pioneers in data science, and it is having very good universities, very good labs where you will find state of the art research uh, environment. So yes, it's a very good option if you are planning for MS in data science.
So, what are the other countries where we can study research related to database and network?
A lot of European countries offer research in networks and databases. You can find out with Germany, with France, with Switzerland. Uh, you can find good in Netherlands. So, and in fact, Canada is also a very good option out there, and US will always be there. A lot of good universities in US offers very good research activities and education in computer science and data science. So yes, few countries in Europe, few universities in Canada, and a lot of universities in US. These offers good options.
After doing post graduation in mathematics from Delhi University, which is the best place for completing my PhD? So, can you suggest any foreign university for PhD, and if there's any entrance text exam except CSIR net?
After doing post graduation or graduation, I didn't heard it.
Post graduation in mathematics.
Okay, okay. Yeah, so after doing post graduation in mathematics, every university will offer you PhD, because these days a lot of people are looking for mathematicians who can contribute to the modeling part, who can give you the explanations regarding mathematical phenomena behind various data science and technology applications. So it's not just one university that offers. Again, most of the European universities, most of the Canadian universities, and most of the US universities are offering. And in fact, you can also try out Australia and New Zealand, because they are also offering very good courses in mathematics for PhD. You will not find any entrance exam for PhD. However, you must have few research papers, one or two research papers prior to applying to those positions, because in foreign, a lot of professors ask for your interest in research and whether you have published any paper till now or not, because that shows the seriousness that yes, you are really interested in pursuing your research work. So a good one or two research papers should be there before applying to any foreign universities. Good letter of recommendation should be there, and if you can have few projects uh, around what you want to do, that will add.
So there are a lot of common queries regarding research papers. So the students are asking are there different formats of research paper writing?
Yes. We do have different formats of research paper writing. For example, we can have, as ma'am also explained in the beginning, that, we have exploratory research, we have descriptive research, we have causal research. So there are different ways of conducting research work, and hence there are different ways of writing research work as well, research papers as well. So, there can be a review-based paper where you just review the existing literature and you come up with the findings. There can be a hardcore experimental-based paper where you can conduct an experiment, you can have some data sets being assessed and analyzed, and you report those findings. There can be just theoretical research papers where you are, observing some phenomena and trying to link up that with the existing theories. So yes, there are different ways of writing research papers. For that, you must get associated with some of the researchers so that you get an idea that, how we have to write papers and how do we have to conduct the research process. So you must get associated yourself with either a professor in the university, an assistant professor, associate professor, or even a PhD candidate. You can assist him or her and learn how to conduct these activities.
So, out of all these research paper categories, what are the basic contents that a research paper should consist of necessarily?
Okay. So a research paper consists of 5 sections majorly. First is the introduction section, where you give a background about what exactly you are researching for and what you are exactly researching about. Then second section is literature review, where you study other research papers. You come up with an explanation that this is what is existing in the current research papers now. However, this thing is missing, which I am researching upon right now. So in the literature review section, you comment upon what is available and what is not available. Then third section is the methodology, where you define your research processes, that what exactly you are following, which method you are following for the conducting of this research work. You justify that method based on the literature, based on the previous studies that have been conducted in a particular field. Then fourth section is collecting the data and, presenting the findings of that data set, that what exactly you have found through your experiments. You communicate that in the fourth section. And then fifth section is the discussion and conclusion, where you discuss that whatever findings that you have got, whether they are correct or not correct, whether they are in line with the previous research papers or not, whether they are in line with the theories that define this particular phenomena. So you discuss all these aspects and you finally conclude that, see, this is what we are concluding with our research work, and this is the potential future work that we can do by extending our research work. So these are the 5 major sections of a research paper. There are 2 other sections. First is the abstract, which gives an highlight of the paper. It's a 1 paragraph about the whole paper. And there's a reference section at the end, which gives the list of books, papers, reports that you have studied while conducting these research work. So in all, this is the complete layout of a research paper.
Are there similar opportunities for commerce background like finance and business in research field?
Yes, of course. Financial research is the most primitive research area that is going on for last so many years, because we only used to have financial data, since 1960s or 70s or 80s. uh, you know Stock trading, financial market tradings, financial analysis, we used to only have financial data with us in the earlier days. However, nowadays, with the help of technology, we have data sets available in almost every domain. So that is easier. But financial research is an important and a traditional field where you can get into. So yes, business and financial research are, the areas where you can also enter.
Do we need to have a bachelor's degree in data analytics to pursue master's in data analytics?
No, not at all. You can have a bachelor's in mathematics, statistics, operation research, computer science, even management, commerce. Just that maths should be compulsory subject in your graduation. That's one thing, because data science involves mathematical explanations. And second, you should have some sort of hands-on experience with respect to any of the programming languages. For example, Python or R, or maybe some visualization techniques, tools like Power BI or Tableau. So, a little bit experience of handling a tool. However, from graduation point of view, any such field which has mathematics as one of the core subjects, that person can pursue masters in data science, even if he is from physics, chemistry, or any other field.
What is the difference between writing a whole research paper and writing review of literature?
Review of literature is just 20% of writing a complete research paper. So that's a part of writing a research paper. So you know that's a sub part, you can say.
So, what is the procedure to get a research paper published in journals, magazines, and get it uploaded on Google Scholar?
Okay. So for any journal, for any magazine, they always have a call for papers. That means they have an advertisement where they ask you to contribute your papers. You have to constantly look at their web pages, that whether they have a call for paper or not. If they have, there are guidelines given on that paper, on that web page, that this is how you should prepare your paper, this is the length of the paper. That really matters, because you cannot write an infinitely long paper. It is uh, you know uh, managed by the web servers and something like that. So data is a concern for them, that they cannot have indefinite data being there on their website. So for that, the length of the paper will be given, for example, 5,000 words or 2,000 words or 3,000 words. You have to follow those guidelines, you have to prepare your paper, and then upload it as being said by them. They all of them have got a portal where you can upload the paper. Then the paper undergoes a review process. It is being reviewed by the various researchers. If they found it suitable, they will ask or recommend the journal to publish this. If they don't find it suitable, they will give it back to you, that see, these are the shortcomings in your paper. We don't think it is ready to be published as yet. You should improve on this paper, and then you can resubmit. So that is how the paper publishing process gets underway. In Google Scholar, all the journals automatically gets listed in Google Scholar, so you don't have to explicitly list your paper over there. Once your paper is published by the journal, it will automatically come in Google Scholar index.
What marks the success of a research paper?
uh, that's pretty subjective, because a research paper may be useful for me, but it may not be useful for you. So a wider audience is a success parameter, and a wider audience is generally denoted by the impact factor of the journal. So how many people have referred your paper in their papers? So as I talked about, that there is a reference list at the end in every research paper, where you mention that these are the research paper that I have referred to while conducting my research work. So as many people as possible, if they can refer your research paper in their research work, that marks the success for you.
Okay, sir, thank you for answering all the queries. And I hope all the queries of the participants are answered now. If you have any more queries, you can drop us in the chat box. Before inviting Mrs. Vijaya ma'am for the vote of thanks, I would like everyone to please turn on their cameras so that we can have a group picture. And I would request Astha from our college to please take the screenshot. Everyone who is comfortable to please open the camera, can please open their camera right now. I hope that is done. So now I would like to invite our teacher coordinator, Mrs. Vijaya Goyal ma'am, to place the final vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dia. I hope I am audible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Greetings for the day to one and all present. First of all, I, Ms. Vijaya Goel, on behalf of Department of Computer Science, Mata Sundari College for Women, would like to thank Dr. Rajan Gupta for delivering a session with such an insightful presentation. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation for his elegance of explanation about how research can be pursued as a career. Thank you, sir. Your words of wisdom must have truly motivated participants to get engaged in the research and opt for research as a career choice. Thank you. I also extend thanks to our principal ma'am, Professor Dr. Harpreet Kaur, IQAC coordinator, Dr. Lokesh Gupta, and teacher in charge of computer science department, Dr. Kiranjit Sethi, for their guidance and motivation. I am also thankful to the entire faculty of computer science department and Sangeeta ma'am for their constant support for the smooth conduct of this session. I would also like to applaud Team Cybernauts for their continuous efforts for organizing this learning session. Finally, I would like to express a sincere thanks to all the participants for their active participation. Thank you all once again. Have a good evening.